What's happening, motherfuckers? So you're gonna have to bear with me on the werewolf video. It is coming, but there's a lot of kinks to work out, and there's so many sets I'm putting into one video for 4 different builds that it's just taking a little bit longer than usual. But it is coming, so just bear with me. But the PTS has been a little bit quiet. It's been hard to test. But when I have been playing, I've been playing with this thing because this Templar is fucking monstrous. And I always get asked by people, can you play Templar with the 2H or dual wield? What's best? You know, what's a good general PvP build? Mainly for BGs as well, because most people want to just BGs these days. So this is an updated variation of an old build that I used to have, but I'm going to show you why I'm using it, what I've changed out, and blah 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 blah. I've got things to do, so I'm going to try and make this as quick as possible. So let's just get straight into it. We've got a Stoons two-handed maul on the front bar, Nernhoned, and Stoons when they're off balance we get extra pen, which is super easy to proc because we're going to couple that with our toppling charge, which gives us major protection and then all of the juicy passives you get from Adric Spear. So we'll come back to that in a minute. But we're using a Nernhoned Stoons two-handed maul. Then I've got minor vulnerability poisons. This is a preference, but because we're bursting in and we're quickly attacking people, it's easy to proc. So I like to have that there just so that I can proc that, get an extra bit of little damage. Back bar, we've got Winter's Respite, defending, and if you haven't seen that or what it does, basically whenever you throw down your Purify or your Rune, it puts down another little hill on top of that. So if I go like that, it throws down that frosty looking hill. So just my Rune alone is ticking constantly for a decent little hill. But that's because we're going to couple that, being a PureClass, with the class Mastery Bastion of Light. So this is giving us 2,700 heals a second, on top of the Winters, on top of our Purify, on top of standing in this room. So when everything's, you know, sitting there, and I'm not even fully buffed yet, but when everything's all procced, got this going, Vigor, you can see the heals are ridiculous. You know, we're going to have back-to-back heals very easily, so you don't have to worry about healing as much. You can be a lot more offensive. Anyway, back into the build. So Winter's defending Ice Staff, Stoons, Nernhoned, two-handed maul, and then for the helmet and shoulder, I'm rocking Balorg, 2 medium to maximize the damage. I'm tanky as fuck because I'm standing in my rune. You notice I'm just casually at 34k now, and I'm hardly fully buffed. So yeah, I'm using Balorg, 1 trainee, and everything's all in pen apart from the chest because that's the only one that's getting good returns on it. Hakijo's on the big bits like the chest and the legs, but everything else is mag to maximize the damage. Got infused with stam recovery because I felt like I just needed a little bit more stam recovery on this, and then the other 2 are damage. The rings marking, I have tested this with Monomyth, I've tested this with the Malakoff band, I've tested this with everything, you know, that is worth using, even the Sea Serpent coil and stuff. I feel like marking's way better, it just offers so much for this. You're tanky, good general consistent damage, so yeah, I've gone with the marking. Let's get into the CP quickly. We've got Fighter's Finesse because we're going to be able to crit are guaranteed when we drop our ult, so I'll get into that in a minute, but we'll get that 8% extra damage on top of 10% damage because we're going to be attacking them off balance, which is basically like Essence Thief. So we've got Essence Thief almost twice just in them 2 there, so that's a lot of extra damage. Then we've got another 6%, and then we've got the resilience for the crit protection because we're not running Rallying Cry. And then in the red tree we've got Survival Instincts because even though we can Purify, that Purify is going to be cheaper. Everything between that as well. So we've got Relentless, so every time we break free we've got our major protection because we're not running Monomyth. Fortified for armor, and max health out of balance vitality. The green tree really doesn't matter. The only thing that's in there that really does matter if I go to it is this thing down here, so that I'm a little bit faster out of combat by 20%. But you know, what does that matter when you're fighting? So anyway, let me show you the rotation for this quickly, and then I'll get into the other variation of the build if you wanted to play dual wield. But you're going to have your banner on, and I'll just get into what banner I'm running. It's giving me 6% extra direct damage because that's affecting all of what I'm using. It's constantly proccing my Sacred Ground passive, so if I stand in my Sacred Ground, my Vigor up, you'll see how tanky I am. It's 36k, which is, you know, very tanky. I'm also a Breton, so I get a little bit more tankiness. And I'm running the Apprentice, you know, in case I missed that. Oh yeah, while I'm here, I'm a Vampire stage 3 using Smoked Haunch, so just in case I forget to do that. But yeah, the combo is so easy. You're going to have your Vigor and your Rally up constantly, just like the good old days, and then you're going to hit your Rune. You go Light Attack, your Essence Eddy Drain, toppling in, and then hit that. And then when you're doing your combo, obviously you've got 11k pen, all of this, throw down this, and then just smack them. It's a guaranteed. You see how much burst there was just then? You know, so it's a guaranteed quick, cheap little burst. You're going to have a ton of pen. And let me just show you what this is fully buffed, because it's absurd how buffed this is. I'm also using crit pots because it's giving me a little bit more crit in between this. So you don't have to, but it's just my preference on it. So again, light attack, Ellie, topple in, that, smack, and then just go for it. And you're going to see that my stats right now are berserk. I'm over 8k, 41k pen, 33k resistance on the front bar. I've got good recoveries, good health, good everything. So yeah, that's the 2H variation. Let me quickly get into the dual wield one for you. Okay, so the only things that I've actually swapped out for the dual wield is I've changed my back bar heal, and I've put on the healing soul because it gives me major vitality, which is great for this because I don't have my rally constantly ready to go. So I'd like to have a buffed everything when I do use this because it's costly. So I've got that on the back bar and on the front bar, and obviously I don't have a damage buff now, so I've got vigor on the front bar, and I've changed my potions out for the spell damage potions, which give me prophecy, mag, and spell damage. My front bar, because I don't have the onslaught anymore, I'm using Dawnbreaker, because once everything's fully buffed on this, I'll just give you a rough idea of what this is looking like. But when it's all fully buffed, we've got great damage, you know, really good overall ability to basically brawl with this. And I didn't even hit my pot then, so let me just try that again. There we go. Much better. Everything's beefy. But the combo would be exactly the same. You'd throw down everything on the back bar, light attack, Ellie drain, light attack, power of the light, topple in, Dawnbreaker, and just smash. 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 Look at this damage. Bleh. So, yeah, personally I prefer the 2H version of this. But if you do like dual wield and you just much more prefer with that, then it does work on dual wield. I just way prefer using the 2H. But anyway, as always, I had to get this to you guys really quickly because Claw is going to be so strong. But Werewolf, it's coming. Stick with it. And as always, peace, motherfuckers.